Hey, Crafty Babes. This is Andrea, and we're here to... Nope, see? I do this every single time. Every time.
You gotta do it once to get it out of the way.
Yeah, totally. Hey, Crafty Babes. It's Andrea, and we're here to chat about all the ways we live our craftiest lives.
And I'm Melissa, and we're here to inspire you to craft in a way that works for you. Hey, episode 5. I feel like that's kind of how all our episodes are going to start.
I know.
Hey. How else do you start? I don't know.
It's a perfectly fine start.
That works.
Good. Yeah, well, there's so much to talk about today.
I know. It's going to be a
I'm kind of excited
episode, but it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too.
We're going to talk about crafty supplies.
Mm-hmm.
As I feel like this time of the year, it's kind of the thing that people are they have this on their minds a lot. We want to purge and reorganize and assess our stash, and what do we do with embellishments? What do we do with paper? Mm-hmm. Who stores certain things by color and who stores by type? You know, I just feel like this is such a conversation that happens around this time of year. And we kind of wanted to dig in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, because it almost feels like when you start scrapbooking again in the year, especially if you do December daily, it feels like you're starting a whole new project.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of forces you to re-examine what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Totally.
Which is what I brought up in the group the other day, because I had been talking to you about it privately.
Yeah.
And I was
As we do.
Yeah, about everything. And I was like, hey, so I'm kind of thinking about redoing how I organize my supplies, but I'm just not quite sure exactly what to do. And you said, like, yeah, I'm feeling the exact same thing. I'm not quite sure what to do either. And so I was like, let's go to our Hey Crafty Babes, or to our Crafty Babes in our Hey Crafty Babes podcast Facebook group and just say, what are you all doing? And I phrase it, I know that it's a frequently discussed subject because I see it pop up a lot in different places, but I never pay much attention to it because I'm like, I've got my stuff organized and I don't need anything to change, And now when I need it to change, I'm like, hey, so
let's talk about this again.
About that stuff y'all were talking about.
I'm late to the party, but that's all good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just asked how everyone did it, and, props if you have photos, because sometimes I just work better from a visual.
Yeah, the visual, it's important.
Yeah. And I mean, because what I did is I had my stuff sorted by color. So in little clear drawers, sorted by color, and just all the colors. And then I had a section for metallic and a section for wood, wood pieces. And then I have my stickers in a separate place, it's kind of like an accordion file folder type thing with little zipped pouches. And then I just had like words and objects, and then just objects, I think. And then I had another spot where like my LA Studio stuff was, and then I had another spot for my Illustrated Faith printables, and I had another spot and it just felt like everything was in a lot of different places. And so I just was like, how exactly do I do this? So what I ended up doing was I just burped. I tried really hard not to, but it slipped. Anyway, what I did was someone had posted, let's see, it was, trying to find where I wrote it in my notes, Jennifer Thompson.
Yes.
Who posted that she had this divided circular stacking thing. I don't even know how exactly to describe it, but I was like, I looked through all the photos and I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of really great ideas in here, but I just saw that thing and I was like, no, that's exactly what I need, because what I like about it is it has everything kind of out in the open. And I think part of my problem wasn't necessarily a lack of organization, though I did need to, you know, just resort some stuff back out, make sure all my LA Studio stuff was actually with LA Studio or whatever. But my problem, I think, was that it wasn't out easily accessible or visible for me to be able to easily see it and grab it.
And use it. And that's exactly the problem I had, which is why I went to the muffin tin, because I could have it out and it's there versus it being tucked away in a drawer or a sleeve or an iris case or something.
Because then you have to pull all those things out of that storage container. So you can't just... it's just really hard to see. And so...
And I'm such a visual person that if it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Absolutely.
And even though I know I have something or I've seen it before, I just... When I'm in the moment of creating, if it's near me, that's what I'm going to use.
Yes. Yes. The stuff... And even though you're like sitting down, it's not like you have to get up to get it. But if it's within arm's reach... I just feel like you're going to go, I'll just make this work instead. You know, I'll just reach for something simple or whatever. And then like we crafters do, you accumulate a large supply of things. So you do forget stuff sometimes. And so I just really liked the visual aspect. So I went online, tried to look up. I didn't even know what it was called. And I asked her what it was called, but of course I wasn't on a mission. Like in that moment, I was like, I need to find this thing immediately and have it on my doorstep in an hour.
Right now.
Kidding, not kidding. So I was looking it up and I found something similar and I was like, this thing is, you know, there were some for like $200. There were some for $70. What? I found one for $40. Yeah, because apparently like the original use for these things, it's like a metal parts sorter. And so they sell like these ginormous vintage ones.
Like which is you epic. See them in stores.
Yes.
That even Michael's like would have them where they had the dollar stamps and stuff.
Exactly. And so they're like an industrial type thing, or they're sold from like Pottery Barn, which means they're $1 million. So I finally found that I was pretty sure the one she had was from Harbor Freight, and then she later commented and confirmed that, which was awesome. And so I was like, I'll order it. It was only $18.
Okay, and we're gonna totally link that in the show notes because I need the link. Such a good price, and I want to say I priced out, and shipping was only like $6 or something. Which honestly I didn't think was bad. But then I was like, why don't I just look and see if there's a local Harbor Freight store? I've never even heard of a Harbor Freight store. Like you asked me, what is it? Like, and you didn't know you had one?
Yeah, it's brand new to this area because I've driven by that place. It's right by my parents' house. I've driven by that place, 20 times. Never seen it there before. And it turns out we have an older one, but it's also on a part of town that I never go to. Like it's almost near Fountain, I think.
Okay.
And so just way further south than I really ever go.
Right.
And so I was like, look, next time I'm up near my parents' house, I'll just swing by and get one. And so went and got one, brought it home, went to go put it together. And it comes with like, I'm trying to even think if I can mentally calculate. It's got to be 60 to 100 screws, washers, and bolts.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's a little, like, you definitely have to put on a good show, like, pour yourself a beverage and get ready to just do, like, the most mindless menial. Because you don't even use any tools. You just use your fingers.
Oh, my gosh.
Put these little fin things on there, and then you put the bolt in, and then you put the screw in, and then you just tight, and then you do the next one. And
wow. That is definitely something to do while watching a show.
Yeah. So, super long story, but I put the whole thing together and then realized I put it together incorrectly.
What?
Yeah. So luckily I have some kids that come and hang out with us after school until their parents get off work. And sometimes they're bored and they're like, do you have anything for us to do? So I was like, hey, want to unscrew 60 to 100 bolts and put these little things in it and re-screw them? And they were like, sure.
Okay.
I paid them in bubble gum. It was all good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Finally got it all put together, and it has 4 levels, and look, 4 levels. The bottom 2 have 3 sections that are bigger, obviously, because there are only 3. And then the top 2 have 6. So what I did, and it's got a lip on it. I mean, so that stuff doesn't fall out, but it's only maybe an inch or so. And so what I did is on my top sections, I think I have, and I got a little bit specific because I just found that this is just what I needed. There were a lot of things in my stash that I've had for a little while that I couldn't ever find when I needed to use them.
Right.
So,
I know.
Yeah, like really specific things like that say happy birthday. That you're only ever going to be used on a birthday page. Right. So I sorted it by party, birthday, and celebration. So those are all like in one section, you know, because like balloons. If it looks like birthday balloons, I'm not going to, I'm just not going to put it anywhere else.
True.
So I did the party section, dogs and pets, which I don't actually have very much of, but I'm always on the hunt for like dog or pet themed supplies.
Right. And then when you need them, you can find them.
Because there's only 2 of them. So I can never find them. So I did that section. And then I did, I think this is still in my top section. I keep looking back to check because it's right behind me. I have a section of like a boyish stuff. And included in that is like anything dad or son related. That fits. Or uncle related. So anything that's like, I mean, not that I can't use a dinosaur for a page about Ellie, because I may very well do that someday. Yeah. But then I just know, I go to the quote unquote boyish section and I know exactly where to find it.
Right. Versus if the dinosaur is blue, you may have seen it in the blue section. Yeah. But if you're looking, you may not remember that the dinosaur specifically was blue.
Exactly. And that's what makes sorting by color difficult. Yeah. When you're looking for something that is based on a theme. When you're looking for stuff based on color, you can use anything in there. Like I'm a person who will use a flamingo on a page, whether or not it's about being in Florida or whatever. I'm like, I'll just use it as a pink element on my page. But if I'm looking for something, a dinosaur, because I want to talk about we went to the dinosaur museum, or how boys will be boys and I want to use a dinosaur, I don't know. It just gives me a better way to find it.
Yeah, and one little side note is that in another group that we're both in, we talked about people who can and cannot use a flamingo on a page that does not specifically about flamingos. And the 2 of us fall in opposite sides of that.
Yep.
As per usual.
Yep. I'm like, I'll use a pair of sunglasses on a page that's about loving Jesus. I'm like, I don't even care. I do what I want.
If it's cute and the colors match. Yeah. Yes.
Because that's
our friend Iris started it, and she was like, I can't use a llama on a on a page that's not about a llama. And I'm like, me too. We're such literal scrapbookers. It's so very hard to use that kind of stuff. But I totally get what you're saying about the theme needs to be there. And I have felt so good lately about having my stuff in themes. And that's how I used to organize. It's only been like 4 years since I've been organizing by color. So it feels good and fresh to know that if I need an icon or I need a tag or I need a ticket, that I can go find the ticket and then look for the color that I'm looking for. And it's a small amount. So I'm not looking through a whole bin of whatever I'm looking for. But I know that if I want a ticket here, or I want, I don't know, a star.
I would even kind of say that you don't really use a whole lot of very specific things.
Correct.
So
correct. I don't, because they scare me.
You have passed on to me a lot of, like there was a bunch of stuff that you had from that Cute Girl collection by crepe paper. And granted, like, you don't even have any girls to scrapbook about, so it's kind of just irrelevant to you. Yeah. Like, you can't even make a doll work on a page about your boys. Like, I don't know.
Nope.
I mean, you could, but your boys aren't. They're, you know, middle-aged, not middle-aged.
Wow, how old does that make me?
Super old. But, you know, like, there's certain things you can make work and stuff, but because you being the literal person you are, you had no use for a lot of those things. So I would say...
Totally. And not even for pages of myself.
No.
You know, I'm pretty girly when it comes to the things that I scrapbook about myself. But even there were... things are just a little too... If they're too themey, then for me, I'm out.
Yep. And I'd say the only way I've ever
Lucky
seen...
you.
Yeah. Heck yeah. The only way I've ever seen you use some of that stuff is when you were on the Gossamer Blue design team. And it was like you had that limited chunk of stuff to use each month. So like you used a little bit of it. And then after that is when you would pass it on to me. Or, you know, I've seen you do that with some of LA Studio stuff. But beyond that, like beyond that month, again, sometimes it's hard to find those things.
It is, yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. All of that to say, I, you know, made some of these different categories, made a boyish category, made a girlish category. So like girly stuff or mom stuff or really just, you know, if it said cute girl or, I mean, and there's quite a specific few girl phrases.
That's true.
So that had a lot more in it. And then I did a section for seasonal stuff. So anything that said spring, fall, winter, summer.
Or like a snowflake or a sunshine, like even those kinds of things.
Yep.
Okay.
And because then I thought, and I want to say, I don't remember for sure, but I may have even put a popsicle in.
That's what I was thinking.
Because
like popsicle, beach ball, those kinds of things.
Yeah, because if I'm thinking in my head about those things, even if I'm going, the kids had a popsicle, in my head, I'm kind of going to go, oh, that's a summery thing. I'll go look in my seasons. Whereas I'm not going to go, oh, that's a girly thing. That's a party thing. That's a dog thing. You know, so
totally
I kind of just tried to make myself some sections of things that would come to mind when I thought of these things.
That's true. I like that.
So the seasonal stuff and the bigger sections, I have tags, like not labels, but like the tags with the hole at the top where you put the ribbon. So I have quite a few of those, and I'm finding myself specifically wanting tags more often.
Me too.
So I put a bunch of those in there. And then I do have a section for labels, but I did, for now at least, keep my LA Studio labels separate.
Okay.
Just because I have quite a few labels. And so I didn't feel like I was slighting myself by just keeping all my LA Studio stuff together. And I use it quite often. And so there's not a ton of stuff. It's just like I know if I want a very clean, bold, brightly colored something, I can go to my LA Studio stuff and find something.
True.
And I usually can kind of recall what they have a little bit easier because it's
very much
like, I don't know, just
it's specific. I don't know. I keep saying the word specific, but
I know
I'm
almost thinking like
their style
limited
is easy. Their style is easy to know.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to identify, and and I would say they don't release 10,000. It's not like American Crafts, which is a ginormous company which has a lot of designers under it. Where you're like, you know, it's a specific thing. So I can remember they had that collection about sick day stuff. They had the collection about like hugs and kisses. They had the school collection. So I can kind of remember those things off the top of my head. So I still just have that stuff separate in one of my drawers. And then I do have acrylic pieces all in one section. And that does include some LA Studio stuff. But again, that was just something I just decided if I am looking for an acrylic piece. Which I have them
you kind of would sometimes.
Yeah, like you just go, because you have heart stickers, you have enamel dots, you have all these different things. So when you want to use an enamel piece, I feel like in your brain you specifically go, I want to use an enamel piece. I don't know. So I went ahead and put those together, but I do have them in kind of smaller cellophane bags, I guess. all hearts in one bag, all stars in one bag.
Oh, nice. Okay,
and then
that works.
They had a mixed bag of like confetti pieces, and I just put those in there. And then they had a couple popsicles from like last summer that just all fit in this small little.
Okay, now why wouldn't you put the acrylic popsicle in the summer section?
Now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like I possibly will move it there because the stars, the confetti, and the hearts are all more generic shapes, but the popsicles are a little bit more specific.
True.
So now that I'm talking through this, see, this is why we talk.
Exactly.
And then so acrylic pieces, and then crepe paper embellishments, because most specifically Maggie Holmes.
True.
You know, all her florals and like the tags and the tickets and the, I don't know. I've just always kept those things together because
they're special. Again,
it's kind of like LA Studio. It has a distinct flavor.
Look.
Flavor.
Yeah, I agree.
And so and then having those are on my lowest shelf. So having those at my eye level, I'm using them more, which I'm loving because I've had some of them for forever. But then I'm afraid to use them because they're so pretty. You know, what is it? What is the word that people use?
Feminine?
No, like the when you're hoarding. That's a word. You know, when you're hoarding it instead of using it.
I was thinking you said something different, so that's why I wasn't jiving with you.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, but I was just hoarding it because they're pretty and not actually using it. So now that it's at my level, I'm like, okay. Grab one, try it, use it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I had my strips of the bottom strips of 6x6 pieces of paper.
Yeah. The 2x6s.
The 2x6s, because I have a lot of those.
I know. So do I.
And I actually did go through them today and got rid of some that I had duplicates of, or that I honestly just couldn't see myself grabbing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to take them and punch little dividers out of them.
Yep, I do that.
The little tab divider.
Too. Yep.
Yeah, just so that way I can use them.
Yeah, I just have a stack of those, and when I was working on a layout today, I grabbed a couple and tore them up and used them for what I was using for. But because they were all right out there staring me in the face, I was even more motivated to use them. And so I don't.
Awesome.
This might even kind of be a thing I may do later on. If I'm finding myself not using a particular thing, I may move it to one of my dividers out here, just so it's in
that's a good idea.
Line of sight to use up.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the way that I'm going to start cycling things is like I'm actually going to cycle things through. I'm going to put all of my new things out front, you know, top of mind in my line of sight. And then once those things kind of get used and start to get older, then I'm going to transfer them into my color bins where things, and Tracy Reed had said this when she was going through her little scrap room tour. And she says, this is basically where the things go to die into her color bins. And I felt like, wow, that's so true, because it is kind of where, now that you're
using your more current stuff first.
I am. And then I can always recycle those things, and things that are in my color bin now, I can go, oh, you know what? I'm going to move these to my new stash, just like you just said. I'm going to move these to my current stash and try to use them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. I feel like that's a good kind of technique, but right now I've got it just kind of sitting on my desk, and now what I kind of need to do is rework how the top of my desk is arranged, because now I just need to, it's like visually it needs to make sense on my desk, but it also needs to make sense for where I'm reaching and where I'm working and stuff like that. So I kind of just need to have a good workflow. My desktop. Yep. Yeah. But it's already been so much more helpful to just have those things out at my level.
I hear ya. So good. I'm so happy about the reorganization. It feels good, and I'm using more things, and I'm using older things, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So what did you do? I mean, I kind of got that thing, and that kind of prompted, I had already done a little bit of reorganization and purging before that, but what did you do when you kind of were like, I need to do something different? How did you rework your stuff?
Yeah, so I talked about just a little bit about using newer things first and then kind of cycling them out. And then the other things that I've done have been to break down my 3x4 cards in a little bit more of a specific category, like icons with words, space for journaling, so just making, how am I thinking about what I'm looking for? And since I'm not doing large project life pages anymore, I'm not really looking for what are the colors that match to make this all cohesive. I'm looking for what specific thing do I need for this small pocket or this, little page. And then that way I feel like my brain's going to work a little better that way.
Totally.
And I'm looking forward to that.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that, in that trying to figure out how you think about things.
Yep.
And so that's
may not
be
work
different
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what worked for you 6 months ago may not be working for you right now. And that's totally fine.
Yeah. Because like you said, you switched formats, you switched how you were scrapbooking. And so that may change how you're looking for things.
Totally did.
It may, whatever it is, but identifying how, taking a minute while you're working on something and go, okay, how would I use this? Or
how did I search for this?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. At this time, we would love to do our Crafty Babe Spotlight, where we highlight a scrapbooker, a crafty person, a crafty babe in our little lovely circle of craftiness, where we just want to talk about them and the things that they've been sharing with us and just everything that we love about them. And today it is 10,000 Beside, and her name is Jordan Layne. I've been following her for a while. I want to say close to a year or so. She's on the Citrus Twist Kits design team, and the things that she puts out are so fabulous. Just her pocket pages are always super bright and colorful, which totally is my style. Her layouts always have something fun and interesting about them. There's always like a little fun twist or some kind of interesting little something that's just different, like tilted photos, or like she journaled a whole border on one of her layouts. Is just, she's really, really creative and just so good at it. I've been a fan. I've been a fan for a long time. And her clusters and her splatters are spot on.
That's
I
awesome.
just can't get enough. Yeah. And what's cool is that I guess I didn't realize that she was on Citrus Twist. But I am a recent subscriber to Citrus Twist, and I feel like I have been living under a rock because these kits are amazing. I seriously cannot even, I can't even put into words how gorgeous everything is. And it's mostly exclusive, and then they throw in just a little bit of what's kind of trending and what's new that coordinates. It is so good and so colorful and clean and just so good. So once I realized that, Citrus Twist, it's kind of all coming together. But she is super awesome.
That's super great. It's funny when you chose the Crafty Babe this week, and I went to go check her out because I was like, I want to make sure I'm following her, familiarize myself with her work, and I totally hadn't been. And then when I was flipping through her stuff, I was like, oh man,
you've been missing out, right?
And the gold mine. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I hope you know, Jordan. That my husband is going to kill you because if I bring in one more monthly kit or subscription, he's going to be like, seriously, Andrea.
I'm so sorry. But Citrus Twist kits are amazing. I'm telling you,
I might
every
just have
card
to start,
is perfection.
Rotating my... because LE Studio is really inexpensive. And so that's easy for me to get every month. And then I have... two other Felicity Jane and Citrus Twist that I'd like to do. So I'm thinking maybe if I rotated, every other. Yeah. I'm thinking that may be what needs to happen.
I think you could, because I don't want you to miss out on Citrus Twist. They are really, really, really fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Good pick, girl.
Yeah, I like her. So 10,000 beside. And we'll put her handle on the screen for YouTube folks, and then we'll link her in the show notes.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Hey Crafty Babes podcast. We just highlighted a crafty babe, and now we are going to continue talking about crafty supplies.
Woo!
Yeah.
Jonah asked me earlier, what are you guys going to be talking about today? And I said, crafty supplies. And he goes, huh?
What?
I was like, it's just, never mind, buddy.
Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
Cool. You up, girlfriend?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, tell us about, I don't know.
I can.
No, I got this.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
All right.
Okay, so we got a comment on one of our past podcast episodes from a girl, and I am probably going to butcher her name. So Michelle, I am so sorry. At least your first name is pretty straightforward. But it's Michelle Blishki, maybe?
Yeah.
Would that be a good guess?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Or Blishki, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Something
you're
like
getting
that.
Close.
But she wrote, love the podcast, and thank you so much, Michelle. She said, I've been listening while I drive to the city. I'd love to know how you gals use up all your supplies. I seem to keep collecting and collecting, but need to learn to use what I have. So
it is a problem for everyone.
Yes. Well, there's so much there's a lot of pretty stuff out there.
I know. And it's so easy to want all of the pretty things. And then, I mean, if you are a hoarder of the pretty supplies, then it's hard to use them up. But we totally get it. We do. We get it.
Totally.
But we do have some tips that we are going to talk about to maybe get you to use more of those supplies.
Yeah.
So that you can enjoy bringing more in without feeling guilty.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One way that you could use some of your larger pieces of pattern paper would be to make your own traveler's notebooks, the inserts, or junk journals. So junk journals are super fun because you can just rip and tear and cut whatever size you have as long as it fits in, the album that you're using.
Yep.
But you could go through a lot of pattern paper that way, and you can find just a bunch of pattern paper that kind of coordinates or maybe doesn't, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And and then you can add pictures to that, or you can give that junk journal to a friend, or you can use it for, a mini album or something. I mean,
yep.
But then making a traveler's notebook insert, you could use a larger piece of pattern paper, and put your plain pieces of paper inside and make your traveler's notebook inserts. Or you could even use like more neutral pattern papers on the inside of your traveler's notebook.
Yeah, or if you kind of like making a junk journal, I guess, but if you made a traveler's notebook with some of the thinner designed papers, like the ones that come in the paper pads or whatever.
Sure.
Then that
could totally work.
If you know your color scheme, or if you know what theme you're shooting for or whatever. So totally.
Yeah, I agree. Another way would be now this is not necessarily for only pattern paper or scraps, but also for embellishments. You could learn how to cluster like a boss. You could just use a lot of die cuts or tags or tickets or, all of your stuff. You can just use a bunch. And I wanted to list a couple of people who are super, super good at this. Yep. There are people who I look at their layouts and it's full of stuff and it's just beautiful.
Yep.
It's absolutely beautiful. It is something I am never going to be able to master, which is why I admire it so much. So we're going to list a couple of people in the show notes so that if you're not following them, you definitely should. So Sue's Fish is like the first person that comes to mind because, oh my gosh, her layers are so good. And if you're wanting to use more, like I think what she does is she really does a good job at saving she doesn't cover up a lot of good usage of her paper. You know what I'm saying? My words are not coming out right, but
Yeah,
she doesn't
like,
just waste the paper being behind the photo. So she'll trim so that just what she wants is really sticking out with enough room for, to adhere it and stick it underneath.
Yeah. She's a very efficient scrapbooker, I guess.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Yes. But if you wanted to use more, you could absolutely use the whole
throw everything on
section of paper and throw everything on top of it. Yeah. At Studio D, so Damaris has been killing it lately with just these amazing layouts that include just tons of die cuts. And it's just, they're either in some kind of shape or they're just strategically placed so that it's so pleasing to the eye. She is amazing.
Absolutely.
All the effiness, she is so good too. Her name is Neftali, and she used to be on the Gossamer Blue design team with me.
Yeah.
And she is so good. She does this. She's very similar to how I feel about Damaris's layouts. Is that they're just full, but not
busy,
not cluttered.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know. Good job, girls.
Just do a good job.
And then, I know. I will try someday, but it is hard for me.
You try every once in a while.
I do. I get a little out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then Nudoso, who is our friend, Susanna Stein, she has layering down.
Yeah, she does.
And she starts with a base of an acrylic or a watercolor something, which just adds another layer of texture. And then she layers the papers and the tags and the labels, and like everything just looks so natural.
Yeah.
So I definitely wanted to give a shout out to those girls.
Oh yeah. When I did a layout earlier about layering because I had this cool card about layering. Yeah. And Susanna was like, it looks so good. And I was like, that's because it was channeling you. She was like, you did a better me than I could do. I was like, girl, no.
She's the sweetest.
Like, no, there's just no way.
Yeah, that is so funny. And one of the other things on the note about the layering and clustering, Victoria Marie has a class called Layering Like a Boss, and we're going to link that in the show notes too.
I'm thinking I need to take that.
She really does. Yeah, she just knows how to do it.
Yeah, she does.
There's something else too that did I write this down? I must not have. So. Hold on. Yeah, I did write it down. Okay, see? I don't even know what my own notes say. And my other tip would be I don't know. My other tip would be to make a quilted or stripped background for your layouts.
Yep.
So, using your scraps or even cutting up the paper that you already have, cutting it into strips or into squares and using that as your background so that you're using up more of your stuff.
And I think... correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Victoria Marie has another class about using your scraps.
Ooh, she might.
So that would be kind of a good one just to, be using all your stash. Because your stash includes your scraps. Because sometimes it's enough paper that you don't want to throw it away, but then it's just sitting there taking up room.
It just sits there.
Yeah.
I know. And then you have to find a way to organize your scraps. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
But we do.
Yep. When it gets to that point, it's like, okay, come on. But
I know.
It's still good material,
It's hard to part with.
I know.
Yeah.
So my tips
what you got, girlfriend?
My number one tip was buy less. Ha ha ha.
Yes. As she talks about, I have all these kits that I want to buy and my husband's going to kill. Actually, he's not going to kill you. He's going to kill me.
Yeah, I know. I said that way because I give him the goods, so he can't kill me.
Exactly.
But I'm saying this, tongue in cheek, going, I need to take my own advice. But sometimes when especially lately, I've just been trying to be really conscious of what I'm buying. Is it the same thing or different, just in different colors? Do I really need this? Or is it just, scrapbook companies are phenomenal at presenting things to where they look beautiful. And it's not that they aren't beautiful, but sometimes you get them home and you're like, okay, now what do I do with it? Because I'm not so-and-so and I can't make it look exactly like that without literally copying it.
Yeah.
So so I think sometimes I tell myself, you know, such and such supply will still be there in a month when I've used up some more of my stuff.
That's good.
You know, every once in a while there'll be some things, like I know some of Felicity Jane's stuff will sell out. So sometimes I'll get some of their stuff, but I try as hard as I can to save it, and then I'll only order every other month. And maybe I won't order the entire kit. Maybe I'll just order the pieces I know for sure I'll use.
Yeah, that's so smart.
And especially with digital stuff, I find myself, you know, In a Creative Bubble just had new releases today, and I always love their stuff. But I went on and I went, what do I have that I could specifically use this for? And right now I had nothing. And so I went, you know, I don't just need to buy this because it's an adorable, love-themed printable. It's a it's a digital printable. So it'll still be there basically forever until
and she lets you know. Yeah, she lets you know when she retires things.
Exactly. And so I'm like, especially with digital stuff where the physical product will not sell out, I tell myself, wait until, even if I bought one every day, I'm not saying I would do this, but if I only buy exactly what I need for digital online stuff, it's not like you're paying extra with shipping each time. You're paying the exact amount that you would pay regardless, you know, unless they happen to be having a sale. So so I kind of just try to go, you know, it'll still be there, and I don't need it right this second.
Right. That's
good. And then kind of in that same vein, one of the blessings of having things organized in some sort of container or drawer or whatever is being able to say, this drawer is full. Like my, you know, this happens a lot with my Project Life cards.
Yeah.
My Project
Life
have
room.
Card section is full. So I go, I cannot get any other cards until I use them. That's just the simple truth. And I kind of refrain from reorganizing to make more room. I kind of leave it that way. How
many times have we done that?
Yeah.
Girls, raise your hands.
Yep. So I try really hard to tell myself, I'm not going to buy this until I have the physical space to buy it.
Yeah.
And then also in the buying less vein, having a Crafty accountability partner, which mine would be you, of course, because I'll text you and say, you know, I want to buy every single new Felicity Jane thing that just came out, but I haven't used my last few kits very much.
Yeah.
And then you'll go, well, that makes sense. You know, use up what you have. And then later if I say, oh, but I just have to have it, you'll go, but I thought you said you hadn't used up. And so just kind of there to remind me of what because the way we text like basically every single thought that goes through our head.
Basically.
And so, you know, my whole brain dump of my process.
Yes.
So you can help remind me of some of those things later when I'm like, no, I have to have it right now. Or I'll tell you, hey, I'm trying not to get new stuff. I'm trying to do a no spend month, or I'm trying to not buy as many things so that when I go, oh, Felicity Jane just released all their new stuff, you go, oh, but I thought you said,
exactly,
you weren't buying things,
and then I try not to enable you too. I try to not like send you the,
the
box of goodies, and I'm like, you have to get these.
Yes, you're very considerate and you're very sweet because you're on lots of amazing design teams, which is fantastic. But then if you're not on those design teams, you have to go look at it and just go, okay,
and you really have to assess, do I spend my money on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing that's really helpful just from in our relationship is that since you're so much more experienced of a scrapbooker, I can go, oh, I love these letters from Felicity Jane. I wish I had them. You can go, oh, but what about, don't you have those ones from whatever one? Or, oh, you can achieve a similar look by stamping it on white paper and then putting it on the card or whatever. You can give me some stuff that would be a good fill-in. So that I'm not like, I have to have that specific one. So use your people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. And then my last note or suggestion was to make stuff for other people.
Yes.
Which I kind of recently did this when we did a ladies event at church and we were making a scrapbook for a friend of ours. And so I packed up, I didn't have very much time to get my stuff together, but I packed up all my stickers, a bunch of different papers, a couple stamps, a bunch of rolls of washi. And at first I went, oh, I forgot to go through my stickers and pull out the ones I didn't want anybody to use. But then afterwards I was like, I can't even remember what they were.
Yep.
You know,
that's awesome. Mm-hmm.
I have so many, and it was so nice to come home and go, I have half the stuff I brought. You know, it wasn't quite that much, but
yeah,
it just went, look at all these things being used. And it wasn't just like I was letting a bunch of preschoolers play with them. It was like going to be used for a dear, dear friend to let her know how much she means to us. And some of these girls made just the prettiest cards and put these sweet stickers and sentiments on them, and it made me really happy that stuff was getting used.
Yeah, instead of sitting around.
Instead of just sitting
not getting used.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, whether it's bringing them to an event, whether it's a crop or whatever, and saying, anybody can use my stuff.
Yeah,
or
free for all.
Making some cards for some people, you know, making it one, that is really sweet to do. And two, it gets rid of some of your stuff. And so I've tried to start doing that. And even having a couple pre-made on hand that are somewhat generic, helpful, but still handmade. People just love. I made one for my mom last year, and I think she kept it on her shelf for several months because she thought it was pretty, and that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And so whether it's, you know, making some cards or making, if you know someone who's crafty, kind of making them a mini book or a traveler's notebook that's kind of set up for generic photos or journaling or whatever.
Yeah.
And just any way that you can use your stuff to bless someone else, or even if it's straight up just passing it on to other people because you're just not using it. Just being realistic.
Right. Yeah. And something else that we probably should, we should talk about doing giveaways.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you have an overflowing area, you know, and that happens to me so much because I've been on design teams and there's no way to use it all. There just isn't. I haven't killed a kit in forever. I mean, there's just no way, even with the team requirements and my own scrapbooking. There's just too much coming in, not enough going out.
Yeah.
And so giveaways for me are so freeing because I can just take a big old Felicity Jane box because they're
the best boxes to send stuff in.
The best. And then you're reusing the box too, so you're not just sitting with empty boxes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, reusing and recycling the box. And really, it's a perfect time to assess what you've got in your stash. Go through the stuff that you're not using. Yep. Just be savage about it. Yep. Like, nope. Yes, I love that still, you know. You just make the quick 1 second decision. And we've talked about this before. It's just, you've got to make the quick decision. You look at something, do I like it or no? Don't even ponder.
Yeah.
And just fill that box up and ship it to a friend.
Yeah. And if you've done purges or gone through your things 3 times and you still haven't used that one piece,
that's your sign.
Yeah.
It's okay to let it go.
Just let it go. And the good news about sending it on to another crafter, another scrapbooker, is that even if they don't use it, which they may send it on to somebody new to them. Else. Exactly. Yeah. And so, just, totally agree.
Totally agree.
Absolutely. You're the bomb. Ditto.
Yeah. And I just think that we love our supplies so much, but something else that I want to stress is don't hoard them. I've talked about this in one of my Ask Andrea question and answer videos. Yep. And if you love it and you paid money for it, even if you didn't, if you are on a design team and you got it from your design team, if you don't love it, fine, give that away. But if it's something that you love and you're hanging on to it because it's perfect, you got to use it. Yep. You got to use it.
And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind while you're crafting is every once in a while, maybe make yourself a sticky note and start with different things. So maybe one time you start with your photos, which is typically where I start, which is awesome. But maybe the next time you start, you go, okay, today I am going to use this beautiful gold tag that says wish on it. So I'm going to go through my photos and find 1 or 2 photos that could correlate, find a story that ties in. Or what I did earlier is I wanted to scrapbook this particular photo I had for my personal album. I just couldn't remember where I was, what I was doing, what thoughts I was having. It just was this selfie. And I didn't really know what to do with it. So I went to my Pinterest board that I have quotes on and just found a quote that I thought was really cool and kind of scrapbooked the photo and the quote, and I made it work, you know? So maybe having different starters. Sometimes you want to
that's true.
Scrapbook in a particular notebook or in a particular format. Sometimes you want to use a certain embellishment. Sometimes you maybe make one of your goals start with an acrylic paint, or use
that's
as many
exactly what I was
layers
just gonna
as
say.
possible, or give yourself kind of some goals. And
true. And I did that. I had a quote that was just a white background with black writing.
Yep.
And I said, okay, I'm going to walk over to my acrylic paints. I'm going to pick 2 colors. I'm just going to pick 2 colors. Yep. It's not going to be like a gray and a black. And I picked an olive green and a coral. And I said, I've now my goal and my mission is to find paper that matches this. I was forced to go through my paper, find something. Of course, I found a Felicity Jane floral, which was beautiful. And and so it really sparked something, and that ended up being such a fun layout to do because I wasn't forced to use a certain color. I wasn't forced to use a certain theme. Yeah. I just started with the paint, and it was fun. So I like that idea. Dig it, babe.
Love it.
Cool.
So maybe we can kind of issue a challenge.
Ooh.
To just
I like it.
Try starting at a different place this week, and then let us know where you started in your project, or kind of what your new thing was to try, and then show us, because we love seeing what you guys are working on. You are so inspiring to us too.
Oh, it has been so fun seeing all the things that everybody's sharing. And we'll start a thread in the Facebook group about this topic, about starting with something new. Yep.
And I just did the one page about layers today, so I'll throw that in there. My page on layering, and then I'll see if I can, start from another point tomorrow and just kind of come up with something else new to try.
Fun. I have a whole scrappy weekend ahead of me, so I think that is going to be a challenge I'm going to take on too.
Love it.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for being with us, and we have lots of things to link up in the notes. And if you are not following us, whether you're listening on the podcast or on YouTube, we're both places. So subscribe and download, and also come join our Hey Crafty Babes Facebook group. Just search for Hey Crafty Babes, and you'll just have to answer one little question before we let you in, and then you can join in all the fun conversation.
That sounds like a plan.
Yay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching.
Bye. And
I didn't say or listening.
I forgot or listening.
Okay.
Let's try that one more time.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Or listening.
Bye.
Bye.